welcome Amy Dresner, author extraordinaire. You got a lot going on. We'll talk about that towards the end. You can tell us where to find you and what you're doing now. But let's just say that we met through your book, which was My Fair Junkie, which I absolutely loved. And I was commenting, like every chapter I'd read, I'd go comment on your Twitter because it's so amazing. So everyone out there who hasn't bought it, buy it right now. It's one of the best books on addiction and recovery out there. We're here to talk about sex and dating and sobriety. Amy's got some amazing stories. I've got a few questions to ask her. So we'll just get right to it. Now, the first thing I want to know is, so when did you get sober? How old were you and how long ago was it?
Which time?
Oh, okay, right. Give us sort of the Reader's Digest version of your sobriety. Like, did you get sober? What was your longest relapse? Like, did you ever relapse for years at a time or just, short periods here and there?
God, that's a really good question. I mean, I used so hard. So it was like, no, I kept coming back, it was like, so the first time I got sober was, I was 24 and I was in rehab and, that was off crystal meth. And, I was like, well, I can drink. And then I tried drinking it a year and it was like a fucking nightmare. And it was like, I was like, ooh, that's not good. And so, then I just stayed sort of like dry for like 7 years. And it worked until it didn't. But I wasn't happy, And I don't think AA is the only way. Are we even allowed to talk about that?
We can talk about AA, but let's just say for the record, AA is not the only way. 12 steps worked really well for me. Other people have their own ways. They're everything from game to therapies to,
I agree. I think that we really need to be more inclusive, you know what I mean? Sure. Of MAD and production and the whole thing. Things are changing and fentanyl's on the street and it's a whole different jam now. And it's like, but I just
when you were dry for 7 years, were you having sex and dating in that time period? You didn't.
I dated one person. I fell in love with a Marine. I was living in Paris. He was living in New York. Lasted about 9 months. So we had a sex problem because it was very romantic and fantasy based, and like it was also long distance. So the amount of days I saw him 17 days in the whole night. You know what I mean? Like. But, a lot of time on the phone. I looked exactly like his dead mother, I found out later. So he had an issue having sex with me because I looked like his mother, but he was also totally attached to me because I looked like his dead mother, who was a model actress. So I didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
But so that was that. He broke up with me. I fell into a huge depression.
So you stayed with someone for 9 months who was logistically somewhat unavailable, physically rather unavailable. Absolutely. You didn't know why at the time, but you stayed with him for 9 months. Whereas maybe if you were in recovery, you would have been like, I'm out of here, dude, after like a month. Like I need to.
I don't know. I'll tell you more because I've been in recovery and I've stayed in bad relationships anyway. So it's like, so I relapsed and I came back to LA and then I was just drinking and, doing drugs. And then I ended up back in rehab in like 8 months. That's the way it goes for me. Like I used so hard. Like, my body's just like, we can't take it. Also, my parents just kept grabbing me and just throwing me into rehab over and over and over and over again. So, I haven't had a lot of good, I lost my virginity when I was 19. No, I was very, very obsessed with purity. And then I flipped and went the other way and got into like IV drug use and like really not, and just was like a sex addict. And it was like, because that's the way we are. We're not great at moderation. So it was like, I think I knew it was going to be a problem. And so both of those.
This part is what's really interesting about your story is that you were a sex addict. You were a bona fide sex addict. And so what sex and sobriety for someone like you had to be really different.
So early sex and sobriety, let's see, I'm trying to think of which sobriety. So the sobriety I'm in now, this is the longest sobriety I've ever had. And
I would say the one where you started to really feel like things were different.
This one.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was 42. I just got divorced. I just was going through a criminal trial. Yay! And and I have 12 years, and this is the one where I've really kind of stuck in and shifted. And it's just like off the table now forever, But in the beginning of this sobriety, I was a full blown sex addict.
Mm-hmm.
Like
in
really.
Sobriety, yeah. That happens. We switch addictions. And oftentimes if it's not gambling or food, like I had food, I had workaholism. I probably was coming close to becoming a sex addict, but just a dry one, like a dry drunk, like it was all I thought about, but I never acted on it. And you acted on it and then wrote a book about it, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was difficult. That was pretty embarrassing. That was hard to write about. That was the hardest to write about.
I joke, but there's not much that's more personal than that, honestly.
No, I mean, I just wanted other women to know that they weren't alone, and I wanted to shed light on it. And it was like, honestly, Jerry Stahl's like, if you have the balls to live it, have the balls to write it. And it's like, if you're trying to look good in an addiction memoir, you're just not being honest enough. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. And that's not a book I want to read, quite frankly. So let's explore this. Like you became a sex addict in sobriety. So
yeah, I had to get out of myself. And I was cutting on myself too. That stopped. And then I just was like a full blown sex addict. I had to escape my body. I had to get out of myself. And I was smoking a lot and vaping a lot. And I was on Tinder, and I was like 42, and it was just like boom, 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 boom. And it was like for 2 years, and it got really, really, really dark.
And how did it work for you? Like, so you want to get out of...
It didn't work for me.
Was it like you wanted to get out of your head by getting into your body so you didn't have to think and feel? And so you're having sex?
I needed validation. I was in a marriage where my ex was like,
So it was about validation, largely.
Yeah, I mean, I needed validation because I was divorced. In my marriage, I had been really abused, sexually, mentally, emotionally, and also I just, I'd never had an orgasm ever. I was like 42, and so I was like, so I was just like on a hunt to like kind of find myself, and I also was just sort of rebelling, I think, against everything, and.
Because did it at least give you a sense of being in control? Like, I'm in control of my body. I can do, even though maybe you weren't in control. No, you didn't feel in control at all?
No, I mean, it was really like addiction, where like, I was like, you're like driving to meet the person and you don't even know their last name, and you don't even, no one knows where they live. So if you like, my roommate would be like, can you give me their address in case you like get murdered? Like, hi. And
like a drug deal. It's like you're going to
you're like so excited, and you're so excited, and then literally I would just drive home crying.
And like, would you orgasm? Would you get wet and would you orgasm? Not to be too personal, but like was it pleasurable in an erotic sense, or was it just pleasurable because you felt validated and connected?
Yeah, yes, because I have to go back, because so while I was going through my divorce, I dated someone with a lot of time who wasn't that attractive, but he was very kind to me. And I don't know, it was the first time I felt safe, and he was very, very skilled. And that was the first time I had a bunch of orgasms with him the first night. And I was like, are you a wizard? Like, what's even happening here? I was like, oh my God, like what? So he opened that door for me, I mean, I didn't stay with him, but it was like, it was pleasurable, but it was also very, very disconnected. It was just, there was no emotional tie to the person at all. There wasn't really intimacy. It was just like, it was just like kind of like masturbating on someone and then masturbating on you. It was just empty.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sobriety. That's such a good way to put it. For me, sex and early sobriety actually felt a lot like masturbating on someone. Like I couldn't feel the connection. I think part of it was because I hated myself. I had so much shame and guilt and remorse and self-loathing to work through. And when you're having sex with someone, part of the fun is that you're sharing yourself with that person. But if you hate yourself, you're trying to share something that you don't like. So you're trying to put up a wall while connected at the same time, and it just doesn't work, right?
No, it was totally unintimate, and so that's what I wanted at the time. Yeah. And even though I would hope that each person would become a boyfriend and they wouldn't call me again, or they would call me again. I had a lot of friends with benefits and that kind of stuff, but it was like,
So you wanted to, so this is good. Let's segue to this because so there's sex and then there's dating. So you start meeting people at some point that you want to date and actually get to know and get close with and build like a more traditional romantic relationship with. And did you find that you were, again, sort of being disconnected, like trying to have an forge intimacy while also remaining disconnected to protect your heart or whatever? Because I know that for me, I was afraid of rejection so much that I wanted to get close to people, but I couldn't let them get close to me because then they'd reject me. So I had all these little tactics like dating logistically unavailable men or emotionally unavailable men or legally unavailable men because they were married. Or I'd pretend like I was the cool chick and really all I wanted was a friends with benefits thing. When in truth, I'm like crazy about the guy, but I won't let him know because then he'll
I did that.
That all these little tactics, right? About strategies and game playing. When I started dating, sex was one thing. Having a fuck buddy, like I could at least kind of manage that. But dating, I had no skills when it came to.
Upset. I was just like, okay, like you have a girlfriend, but you're sleeping with me for 2 years. But like, why am I not your girlfriend? Like, what? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, it was very, I mean, dating, I don't know if I dated. I mean, like I was with the one person who sort of opened me up sexually, for I guess like 9 months. But all I wanted to do was have sex because he opened up that door and I was like, so then all of a sudden it was like, he's like, you're a nymphomaniac. And he was like, oh my God, that's all I want to do. I didn't want to go out. I just wanted to have sex all the time. He was like exhausted. I would have sex with him and then I would go to sleep and he'd be on Facebook and doing his thing. And it was just like, that's all I gave a shit about.
But when you were having sex with him, did you feel intimacy? Because sometimes oh no.
I felt intimacy in that I felt safe and that I could orgasm, but it was not like an emotional romantic connection. It was like funny and fun and laughing. And it was just like sex.
Yeah. Well, like playtime. I mean, because here's the thing, like, yeah. I don't know about you, but like I said, I was a workaholic. So sex to me was like being a kid again and playing. It's like going out in the backyard and playing, ball or something. That's how adults play.
But I knew this wasn't my person. This was a rebound out of this was a nice version of my ex-husband.
Yeah.
So
he was a placeholder. We do that a lot of times. We just find a placeholder.
And then, I mean, during a lot of my different sobrieties, I would have like 3 years and relapse or a year and a half and relapse and blah, 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 in program. And it was like, I was dating in the rooms. And I mean, it's tricky. I mean, I had 4 months and guys with 17 years, like say what you will. I mean,
how do you feel about that? I'm very curious about that because nowhere in the book does it say you're not supposed to date for a year.
Absolutely.
I think it's probably good advice. I've seen couples get together early on and they have amazing relationships and they help heal each other. So I was very hesitant to ever tell my sponsees, no, you shouldn't date for a year.
It doesn't say that in the book.
It doesn't say that in the book.
It says, we don't want to be the arbiters of anyone's sex life, but it is, it's considered, out 13 stepping. Because there's a power dynamic there. There's a power hierarchy. I mean, but that exists anywhere. It's like, that's in the army. That's in, business. That's in, you know what I mean? Anywhere.
It's in any relationship where one person likes the other just a little bit more than that person.
There you go. There you go.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You have to be careful and you have to have a sponsor and be checking in with them to make sure.
But these guys they knew I was really vulnerable. I was very, very needy. I needed attention. I needed validation. I was, really struggling. At that point, I was trying to get off shooting cocaine. I mean, I was really not good shape. I was pretty out of it. And, I just felt like I was an easy target. And
did you go for guys
or predators for, on a lot of different women? I mean, I can't say like I didn't participate because I totally was like a willing participant. It wasn't rape.
Well, right. You were a willing participant as much as you had really control over your behaviors, I suppose, which at 4 months is not all that much, and they should have known better. They should.
And also, you're just like, oh my God, they have so much time and so much sobriety and so much wisdom. And
you put them a little on a pedestal. You look up to them. They're a bit of I don't know about you, but I kind of went for father figures a lot. Somebody who could bring.
I went through father figures because I've always been like I've always been a daddy's girl. My daddy died like 2 years ago. So it's like, but I was, They were like the rock stars of, of AA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's the other thing. You have no identity. You don't have much of an identity when you first get sober. What identity you have is usually pretty negative. And so if you can kind of connect yourself with somebody who's got some respect in the, standing in the group or whatever, whether he's like you're in LA, some of them are genuine rock stars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But none of that was really, really dating. I mean, one person maybe 4 months, but it was like, most of it was just sex.
Well, what was your first relationship like? Did you have did you have relationships that blew up in your face because you just weren't ready for them? Or
I haven't had that many relationships. It's like, this has been a very sort of, fucked up area of my life, to be really honest. It's to be
fair, your parents died.
I got married, during one of my sobrieties when I was like, had less than a year and the guy had less than 7 months and we got married. And that was a fucking disaster.
Oh God, I can't imagine.
Is that 3.5 years? I got arrested for trying to stab this person. It was
that.
So abusive. Yeah, it was just.
Well, and you have 12 years of continuous sobriety right now. Your parents both died a couple of years ago. I know that I didn't have my first real relationship for 10 years in sobriety. And even then, I fumbled through it horribly. I mean, I write about it. 1/3 of this book is about that relationship and how I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was either riding his ass so hard that the poor guy didn't know what to do, or I was letting him walk all over me. And sometimes, both in one day.
I get it.
You don't know boundaries. You don't know how to set boundaries. And you learn all of this through dating, through relationships. You have to learn out in the field, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And so I see people sometimes get in relationships 2 years into sobriety. And I'm like, how are you doing this?
I mean, I got into a relationship. I was 2 years into sobriety. That was the happy ending of my thing. And I really thought he was the love of my life. He was normal. He was a normie, quote unquote. He thought I was really kind of wild and didn't really understand sort of the addicty mental illness side of me. And that always made me feel kind of weird. And it was like, I just wanted to be what he wanted. The whole relationship. I was like, how do I be what he wanted? And I held back on anything. If I was really angry, I held back on all that. I just wanted it to be what he wanted. And I didn't want him to leave. And he left anyway. That's what I have. That's my thing. It's like, be who you really fucking are, because you want someone who loves you for who you really fucking are, because, it's like, they're going to fucking leave anyway. So like that. And also it was just a really uncomfortable, I wasn't being my authentic self.
You're not authentic. It goes back to authenticity. I think that this is priceless, what you're saying right now. Be yourself, because you're either going to stay or leave anyway. And if you're not authentic, what are you getting out of the relationship?
Always uncomfortable. I was just terrified he was going to leave. I didn't trust him. I didn't, you know what I mean? It was like, he did.
It's exhausting trying to be somebody else or to be part of yourself, not your whole self.
Yeah, that sex was great, but I felt so inferior to him that I couldn't look him in the eyes. There wasn't really the emotional connection. I felt like sexually, physically it was great. And we were together for almost 2 years and we lived together and I met his parents and blah, blah. And it's like, but I couldn't totally let him in.
Yeah. It's almost like with each relationship or each person we date or connect with, we get one of the 10 or 20 things we need, or maybe 2 of the 10 or 20 things we need. And then we recognize, I need this, but gosh, I also need to be authentic, or I need to be, I need more sex, or I need someone more compatible. And then so the next guy maybe has 3 of the 20 things we need. It's just this long process.
Yes.
And there's really I don't think there's any other way to do it than to go through it. Like, hopefully you're in therapy or going to meetings, or in other ways, like talking to people who are learning from them, or watching videos like this or whatever. But it's a long process. Like, I don't think anybody who thinks they're going to immediately find the love of because we all want to find the love of our life the day we get sober. And we think that the next guy we date, that it's always that, maybe it's that one. I used to go to the gym and look around and go, maybe it's that one. Maybe it's that one in my head. Like, where's my perfect guy? I found him. I'm 28 years sober. I met him at 25 years sober. It took me that long. And at that point, I decided to just be single for the rest of my life and date a bunch of, young 35-year-olds once a week, have just a bunch of 35-year-old fuck buddies once a week. And I was pretty happy. I thought, this works. I look back now and I realized I wasn't really happy and I didn't know it. But again, it took me 25 years to meet someone. It
takes a long time. And I was in therapy and I was in slaw, I was totally a sex and love addict for sure. And it was like, but when I didn't like that program. And when you really pull it apart, I have totally anxious attachment. My mom was
let me stop you for a second. Let's talk about attachment styles. You said you had an anxious attachment. Tell me more.
I do have an anxious attachment.
Yeah, tell me more about that. How does that work for you? Because that's when there are different kinds of anxious attachments, I think, but that's where you're constantly afraid of them leaving. And you can end up being kind of clingy, but at the same time, you can never fully feel secure.
Because it's in you. The problem is within you. There's nothing they can say that's going to make you feel, it's like,
I was the opposite. I was kind of avoidant. I was like, at the first sign of trouble, I'd frequently walk out because I couldn't deal. I just, I'd rather keep everyone at arm's distance because it was just less painful to me than.
Oh, it was incredibly painful. But I would just cling, and then I would, reject and pull away.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm out of here. It's like, so my mother was
love me, go away.
Yeah.
Love me, go away.
My mother was very shut down while I was growing up. And so I think for a lot of my stuff was me, well, if I can get this unavailable guy to love me, then I can fix my childhood trauma and I can get my mom to love me finally.
Exactly. That's where it comes from. We have to start recognizing that. And it's not to blame the parents because they're human. Most of them did the best they could. But I think for me, once I recognized where my patterns came from, I was able to not only forgive myself, but then also kind of forgive my parents for being human, right? Like, oh, they did the best they could. She wasn't just being horrible to me.
Oh, my mother had, my mother was raised, her mother was schizophrenic. Her brother was schizophrenic. She was beaten. She was raised by her grandmother. She did amazing compared to how
right.
My dad stepped in and did everything. He was the mother, he was the father, and then it got really sort of emotionally enmeshed and kind of like, confusing. And he was like the love of my life. And it was like, well, fuck, now who can ever compare to him? You know what I mean? It was like, there was never any incest or anything, but it was definitely like, people felt they were like, is that your daughter or your girlfriend? Like there was inappropriate energy and boundaries and whatever. And it was like, so after that relationship that was the happy ending of my book, right? If I'd only known, I'm like, well, I'm still talking about writing this book 2. And, he'll get slayed in book 2. You don't fuck around with writers. We'll destroy you. We'll get lawyers. It'll be vetted and you're stupid. But I completely shut down and I was celibate for 6 years.
That's a long time. That is a long time.
I was so hurt. And I just...
You didn't date at all? No sex, but not even dating?
No sex, no dating, no nothing for 6 years.
And then when did that period break? When did that...
So then I started to try and date. And of course, everything became sexual right away. That was my thing. I couldn't keep a good boundary. I just couldn't. First dates always... I was like, okay, I'm going to meet this person at a Starbucks. It's in a fucking mini mall. There's a, market. How can it be? It's in the middle of the day. Surely, I'm protecting myself. It's not going to go sexual. Come on. Totally did it. Afterwards, I just shoved him against the car and kissed him. And then all of a sudden it was on and we're in my car. And I was like, oh my God, we're in the parking lot. It was just and I was just like, fuck. Can't you ever just, and that was my experience with a couple other things that started off like that. And I was just so.
Why do you suppose that was, though? What do you suppose compelled you to do that? Was it because you missed intimacy so much, or was it I want to take control of the situation, or I want to not forget me? I want him to.
I think men give sex to get love, and men give love to get sex. And I think that I was very attracted to this person, and it had been 6 fucking years.
Yeah, that's That's a formula for disaster right there.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like, my body was like, hi, and it took over. And that ended like it was like 2 days and it was over. The person was very, very emotionally unavailable. And I was like, chase and chase. And then I just finally gave up. We would fight a lot and it was awful.
And how long ago was that? About 6 years?
Like 4 or 5 years ago, yeah.
And how's it been since then?
Well, now I've been with someone. So then I was with someone for, I don't know, I guess 3 months maybe. He had a lot of sobriety. My parents had just both died. I was like basically staying with different friends and homeless. And so I stayed a lot with him. And I think he felt really responsible for me. And that's very unsexy for men, to feel really responsible for you, for some men. And so he, I think I had sex with him for the first time after 6 years. And I was really tight. I was really like shut down and freaked out and like, You needed
someone to take care of you. He just wasn't the guy who wanted to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he did
There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with needing, when your parents die, or it's nothing wrong with being emotionally needy, but we think there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you end up with a guy who makes you...
So yeah, he like had sex with me once, and then I was still dating him and sleeping over at his house and we're cuddling, and it's like the most confusing thing in the entire world. And I've dealt with guys that have ED and low testosterone, and it's like it fucks up your self-esteem. I mean, even though it's not about you, you're like, this is about me. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so that ended, and then I met my current boyfriend, who... at a friend's house, again, also in recovery. I mean, it's great because we speak the same language. It's awful because...
you can't get away with anything.
I mean, he relapsed. He's in rehab now.
Yeah.
It's like, and he's 10 years younger than me.
Oh, so, that's not such a bad thing, especially in our age group. Well, no, it's 45. The difference between 45 and 55 is not exactly like 25.
No, but he's been using since he was 18, so he's immature. But I'm very immature too, so it's like perfect, But I mean, he's more mature than me in some ways. But it's weird because we were talking the other day, and I said, he goes, "Well, what did he say?" He was like, "Well, I was 9 when that show came out." And I said, "Well, I was 19. And there was just this awkward stuff. Just like,
well,
away.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of you with a younger man because you have a lot of energy. You have a lot of just exuberance. And I think a younger man probably would keep up with you better and not try to, I just also more, sometimes older men can be a little, this is a sweeping generalization, but younger men generally will let an older woman just be who she is, whereas an older man might try to mold her a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So sometimes it's better. But all right, so he's how long has he been in rehab? Is this a really recent?
This is recent. He's like been in rehab for like 3 weeks, so
and how are things going? Are you going to just staying together?
Yeah, we've been together about 15 months.
That's a long time.
It's the most authentic relationship I've ever had. But again, it was sexual right from the first night.
I was so was my relationship. We started out super casual. We had sex within an hour of meeting, and now he's the love of my life. And
So I hate when people say like, if you start off sexual, it won't become anything. That's not true. That's just not true.
I've literally never had every one of my in love, profoundly moving, healing, life-changing relationships started off as a one-night stand. Every damn one of them, except maybe my high school boyfriend, and we waited a week. I think so. Yeah, screw that.
It started off really sexual, and there was like bananas chemistry, and I was like, well, this is, he wasn't my type in lots of ways, but the chemistry was insane, and he was fun.
Great when you meet someone who's not your type?
He's the opposite of my type in some ways.
Yeah.
He's very charismatic and really funny, and I like that and all that kind of stuff, and super stylish, but like, and he's like all rock and roll and punk rock and like whatever. But it's been I have never been more myself in this relationship. I mean, here's an example. This is so funny. So I remember like my other boyfriend would be like, if I ever see your shower cap, like I'm out of here. Like, and I said, oh, well, I'm Jewish. Like Jewish women and black, we can't get our hair wet. Like it takes a long time to blow out, like I don't swim. Like I don't, and, he was very weird about it. And this guy said, I have a shower cap. And he said, I'm into it. I just dyed my hair black. Let's do this. And so we both put on these white shower caps with black polka dots. And then he turned it to a beret. And I said, come here. And I drew like a French mustache on him. And then he did like oui, monsieur, blah, 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 blah. And it was awesome. It was so much fun. I mean, there was just so much lightness in this relationship. And it was so much fun. And it was like, he didn't care. He didn't care. And like, the sex was bananas, mind-blowing. Bananas. Like, crazy. And I felt totally open. And I felt totally relaxed. And I was like, must you put me in this weird position? But I was like, okay. And I'm also like, I'm 55. Things look different than they did at 40.
Yeah.
Kind of like, is he like judging me? Yeah. Didn't give a shit. Like he's just, hey, like, I'm like, is this Cirque du Soleil? Like, what the fuck is going on here? And it was like, but I felt trust. Yeah. And we would laugh. Mm-hmm. We would laugh. He would just grab me by the ankles and pull me down. He'd be like, wait, time out. I need a breather. Okay, time in, and it was just like, it was funny, but it was also really passionate with a lot of kissing, and it was really connected, and he would hold my hand, you know what I mean? And it was like, I was like, this is what I've been looking for.
Oh my God. I have chills. What you're describing to me is what everybody wants, right? It's what you're going for. And maybe when you're young, you don't think about being goofy in bed as being like amazing and intimate. But
it's so important.
Being able to go, because when you can go from incredibly passionate and even like, raunchy or dirty or whatever to like laughing about something, and back, but when you can be authentic in life and in bed, there's nothing more freeing than that.
Absolutely.
Right? Like that's
and what you want, and ask me for what you want. I'm like, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? I want this.
Yeah.
I want that.
If you can't state your wants and needs, you're not being authentic, are you? I don't think so.
No.
And
that was another thing with anyone from before. I just didn't feel like
I think
could.
that thing about allowing yourself to give someone a shot when they're not your typical type. I mean, my fiance is from the corporate world. I mean, he was kind of a rock star in the corporate world, but still, like, he was like at one of the big four accounting firms. Like, I didn't know what the big four accounting firms were, and I didn't fucking care. Like, are you serious? I used to fucking hang out with the Eagles. Like, give me a break. Like, and the thing is, like, I look at this man. He impresses me on a daily basis. Like, what he does in the world. Like, to me, it's just, I admire it. He's like my own personal dragon slayer. He's like so sophisticated and distinguished, but he's also like an utter caveman. And we have so much fun in bed. It's like that thing about just being completely silly. Like I had this short story, a really unfortunate Botox incident recently. I have nerve damage on one side of my face. So occasionally, it's occasionally my lips get lopsided when I talk, but if I get one little shot of Botox here, it relaxes the muscle. So everything is even. Well, because it was on, I think, massive amounts of zinc for this health issue I'm having, apparently zinc and Botox together make the Botox really, really strong.
Oh, really?
So what happened is my mouth stopped working almost entirely. The bottom half of my mouth just refused to work. So I couldn't pronounce words. I was talking like a stroke victim, and he made fun of me. He mocked me relentlessly.
That's what you need.
For 3 straight days.
Had to have that, though.
I was in tears. Nobody is allowed to mock me in this world. Actually,
I know you. I know you. You're very, that's exactly what you need, though. You need someone.
I do. We do. Absolutely. He also lifts me up and treats me like a goddess 99% of the time when he's not mocking me relentlessly for things that deserve mocking, to be honest, right? Like he only, when he calls me out on my shit, he does it in the funniest, cutest way imaginable because he loves my craziness, right? Like he loves when I get like ridiculous. And these are, these are things that I never, if I'd had tried to draw a list for you all the qualities I wanted in my perfect relationship back when I first got sober, I would have shortchanged myself, because I don't think I had any idea how amazing it could be. But it did take 25 years to get there. So
yeah, it could take a minute. I mean, this has been, a volatile relationship. He's, he relapsed. He didn't tell me. He was using and hid it from me. Now, how are we going to rebuild trust? I'm really not sure. Everyone's like cut and run. And I'm like, how many times I relapsed? Like, I'm going to show this person a little bit of grace. You know what I mean? And it was like, so he's in rehab. And I think that he really was like, this made him, he was like, oh my God, like now he's much more emotionally open than he's ever been, I think. And I saw him cry for the first time, and he was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to move forward from this. Like, I don't know how I can trust you. Like, who are you? Like, you lied to me for months. Like, well, you think I'd understand? I'm the queen of relapse. What are you talking about? But so I don't know how we move forward from this. I'm starting to go to Al-Anon.
Oh, I know. I hated the idea of it, but it did wonders for me.
But otherwise, you're just trying to control everything. And like, I'm drug testing you, and I'm like, I'm all over it. And like, why is he so long in the bathroom? And like, I'm going to go search his car. And I just look through his phone. And I just look through his pocket. And I said, I don't want to fucking live like that. Like, if I'm going to be a sober companion, your parents should pay me, But he's sober now, and he says he wants to be sober. I really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I do love him, and
but if relationships I really believe relationships are meant to help us become better versions of ourselves, right? And so for you, that could be maybe the best version of yourself is a woman who says, what, I want something better. I deserve something better. I'm out of here. I'll love you from a distance. Or maybe the better version of yourself is, hey, you know what? I committed to this. I'm going to stick through it. We're going to find a way, to one day at a time. I don't know what you're.
I don't know either.
But I know that relationships are what make us better people. We become, they're the best opportunity for us.
Oh, it's all the lessons. It's all the growth. Right? And so, I got very needy when my parents died, and I was just like, just clung to him. And, I was like, you're my rock. Like, oh my God. And he was just like, and I got a rescue kitten like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Cuckoo. Totally insane guy.
Of course.
Bucky. He's insane. Right. And
our cats do reflect us, by the way.
That's what I've heard. I know. I'm like, he's so needy. Like, Bucky's so needy. Aww. He goes, really? Imagine if Bucky had a phone. I'm like, I hate you so much. I hate you so much. And I was like, and I was like, fuck, it's me. Why do you call me back? Hello? Like, it's been 2 hours. It's been in half an hour. Like, you said you're calling me back. Like, you said you're coming over. Like, what's going on? Like, just so clingy. And so, and he's seen like all of my gnarly, like the gnarliest parts of me, and stayed. Yeah. He is not someone who's a very loyal person, and it's just like, it's just been a ride. It's been a real ride. And also, he's like, you're an nymphomaniac, and I was like, but I'm only having sex with you. Yeah. And he goes,
I hate it when they do
you're only buying from one dealer, so that makes you. How dare you?
I don't know. I'm not going to say who's an nymphomaniac and who's not, but I will say, as somebody who's worked in this field of sexuality in one shape or form for a good 30 years, some people just have a really high sex drive, and labeling them sex addicts is not usually helpful or often warranted. Maybe, and now you were a genuine sex addict, but
there was stuff I was having sex with people I did not want to have sex with.
Yeah, you might just have a really, really, really high sex drive, and also some people. I'm one of them. I experienced.
It's triggerable. It's like we have really great sex, so it's like I'm an addict, so I want to feel like I literally get high. I'll be like laughing, and like he's like thinks I'm joking, and I'm like I'm almost drunk from it. Like I have so much oxytocin in my head. I'm like, he's like, you're faking this. I'm like, I'm not. It's like he's like, wow, weirdo. But it's like, when there was a time when after he relapsed, I felt so much betrayal and so sad and when he was staying with me before he went into treatment, I would not have sex with him. I didn't want to. I didn't feel connected to him. That's for me, that's the mature Amy. I just was like, you know what? I don't trust you right now. I don't feel connected to you right now. I don't want to have sex with you right now. Like, and I was like, so if you've got an issue, like, get that stick out of my back and like turn the other way. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? He was like, I was like, I love you. And I don't feel, I'm mad.
I mean, to me, so that's not nymphomania. If you're somebody who went from having sex with total strangers that you didn't even know their names or where they lived to somebody who your sex is now has this emotional component so that if the trust is gone, you're not willing to have it. That's quite the trajectory.
Oh, yeah. It took years. It took 10 years.
That's what recovery's about. That's what recovery is all about. So this is awesome. So is there anything, let's see, is there any one great, you had some great advice that you said earlier that you, like what's the best advice you would give to someone early in sobriety who's ready to start dating and having sex? You had said something earlier and I already forgot what it was, but it was so perfect. But something about maybe being authentic or something.
Yeah, be yourself. Be authentic. Be really yourself. Don't try to be who you think that they should be. I mean, I tend to be kind of like, here's all of me, like right away, because I want people to know everything. Because if you're going to run away, I want you to run away now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know that you're supposed to like, kind of just like drown someone in all of your trauma.
No, I think it's a lot, and I do that. It might make it easier on you, but it's not nice to do that. I think you spend the first 6 months being your best self, and you kind of give them little peeks into some of the darker stuff. You don't want to unload everything right away.
That's great. I don't think I did that.
People do. I'm not saying you did, but you see that.
No, I think that, people do. But it's like, who are they really when the party manners fall off? Really?
Yeah.
Because they will.
Find out after about 6 months, unless you're spending like every day together, you'll find out within 2 or 3 months who they really are. If you're dating spending every weekend together, within about 6 months, you should know who they really are.
But also, there's people that have intimacy issues. I was like picking out rings. Like, I'm a psychopath. Like, I was like, you know what I mean? Like, we were like together like 6 months. And I was like, let me show you these old mind cut diamonds on Etsy that I picked out. And he was just like, you're scaring me. Like, you're scaring me. And he was just like, I was with someone for 8 years. We never got married. I was like, I don't care. I am 55. I'm old, dude. I want a ring. I want to get married. I had a horrible marriage. I want a nice marriage now. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, if we're together for 3 years and like, you're not living with me and I don't have a ring, hasta mañana. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm completely serious.
You can do that in your 50s. I mean, that's completely authentic. That's stating your wants and needs. That's, again, something you don't do in early sobriety.
Yeah, no, I would have never done that before. And it was like, I remember with the other boyfriend, he was like, I know you want to get married, but I'm scared and I need to get into therapy. And he would like lose his erection and cry. And it was like, oh boy. And he laughed.
Really? He would lose his erection. Shocker.
But it was like, I wasn't even pushing.
Yeah.
So now I know this guy's parents. His mother and I text all the time. And I'm just like, you're so fucked. You're fucked now. You're not the boss. Your mother and I are the boss. And I'm just like, I'm not sure that's that healthy. But, this uncovered everything. This blew out all the secrecy. But I think that there's intimacy issues, I think that, that men have to work through that stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I just said to him, we could be a lot stronger if we get through this. Like, this could be amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
it'd be the best thing that ever happened to us.
Sometimes that setback is the thing that breaks everything open.
Totally. And that's kind of what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous. I mean, there's no guarantee. There's no, like that he's going to stay clean and blah, blah, blah. But there's no guarantee that someone's going to stay with you. There's no guarantee about anything in life. That's just life.
You can get sick and die. That's the thing about dating, sex, and intimacy is there are no guarantees whatsoever. Even if you find the perfect guy, he could change, he could relapse, he could die. You never know.
He could fall in love with someone else. Like he could whatever. All of it.
I don't know. So it's
scary, and you just have to It's scary. It's very. I'm having to sit with the uncertainty. I'm having to sit. And it's not been my favorite thing. That's why I use drugs, because I didn't like that. But that's how life is. You don't know.
And that's what relationships are about. Like you decide whether you're going to be there for that person, and then what those boundaries need to be. And then you either move forward or you say, no, I can't do this. You have to know and, weigh the pros and cons But that's the thing about commitment. One of the reasons I was always terrified of commitment is because, well, what if he changes? What if he's a great guy for 10 years and then
you can get out? I mean, I've had a divorce. Like,
I guess you can get out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I mean,
but
I was the one who ran.
Better than being. I used to think being alone was just simpler and better and easier and blah blah blah. And now I realize that now that I'm in the healthiest relationship of my life, I realize no, this is better. Life is intimacy. Genuine intimacy is what makes life worth living. And I used to be happy with the fleeting, momentary, brief, sporadic intimacy, and now I want all day, every day, for the next 40 years or however long I have left.
I love that.
Anyway, so listen, this has been amazing, Amy. I'm so glad you were my first guest. Your stories never fail to entertain, even the tragic ones. God bless you.
I didn't even get to some of the tragic ones. Oh my God.
Well, we'll do this. Maybe we'll do another. I'm going to do another 10 of these or so, and then maybe we'll
oh yeah, I have
stories with another Amy Dresner interview. Okay, so listen, tell everybody what you're doing and what. I know that you haven't got that second book out yet. That we are all waiting breathlessly for it.
No,
I know you will. You've got a lot more to tell.
Yeah. I mean, my agent and I starting to finally kind of, like I said, this is, we were in sort of a Mexican standoff over what it was going to be about. And now, we seem to have sorted it out. So it's also been difficult. I don't think I've been ready to write about the grief around my dad, especially.
Right. Well, I was thinking this did just happen. I personally write about things 15 years to 20 years after they happen. And that's usually around the time I get clarity on them. So
I want to be able to have the distance and objectivity and to give people some insight and some wisdom. And it's like, I've been doing this grief group for, this telemedicine thing, and I hysterically cry. And I'm like, fuck, man, I don't know if I can write this book right now, I mean, and also what's super, super weird is like, I'm not psychic at all. I'm like the opposite of psychic, whatever that is. Like, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like that's a good idea. Everyone's like, no. And I saw my boyfriend's relapse. I had a vision. I saw him in his car ODing. I saw him in the hospital, and I was like, that can't be real. Come on, Amy. And then it totally.
That's those mirror neurons. When you're really close with someone, you connect with them. Even when they're apart, your brains are in sync. That's
yeah. I mean, like, I'll be thinking about him in Nepal like that, and I'm just like, this is creepy. You know what I mean? But it was like, so I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, again, I don't regret any of this. It's been painful. But it's also been like incredibly freeing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have videos of us dancing naked and stupid stuff, just stupid stuff of him washing the dishes, just like stupid shit. And that's just hysterically laughing. And it's like really, like it's brought out a very childlike, like, part of me. Not a part where I'm trying to be what you want and you know what I mean? It's like I'm and it's so, God, to not have that facade. So I mean, if you're newly sober, it's like, I don't think I even really knew who the fuck I was, to be honest. And it's like, I really hated myself, like you said. Like, I just had so much self-hatred and so much shame. So I wasn't picking the greatest people.
Yeah, that's what we do. We're not going to reach for someone who's really offended. First of all, why would they have us? If you don't love yourself, I'm sorry, it's cliche, but it's true.
True, yeah.
Nobody else is really going to be able to love you, and certainly not in a way that's very healthy. You're not going to accept it. If you don't love yourself, you won't be able to accept their love, right? So,
absolutely. I didn't like the people who liked me. You know what I mean? It was like I didn't want to join a club that would have me as a member, that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, well, if you like me, what the fuck is wrong with you? Gross. And so I liked people that were really unavailable, and everyone's like, that's because you're unavailable, Amy.
Exactly.
And I was like, how dare you say that? But it's like, I realized later how terrifying intimacy was for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you want it so bad, but we really don't have the skills to get it. So we sort of oscillate in and out of proximity with it, and it takes a long time to get to a place. I think that we usually think we're ready sooner than we are. At any point over the last 28 years of my sobriety, I would have told you, I'm pretty sure I'm ready for a solid, healthy, committed relationship. And then at one point I realized, not commitment, but I could do, like I mean, not marriage, right? But I could do like an ongoing relationship. And every time I got into one or started seeing someone, all my issues would come up and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I still had these.
Totally.
You can't
all your shit. You'll see all your shit in a relationship. Everything comes up. All your character defects and like all your stuff.
You're single. You're totally cool. You got to go.
All my mental illness flies up and all my intimacy, and I'm like fucking, and rage and weird shit. If I'm hurt, I'm angry. And then like, and it's like, I mean, I really recognize him as who I was 10 years ago. And it's like, he was the rock for me for like 15 months. And it's like, maybe now it's time for me to be the rock. I was never been the rock for anyone. Everyone's taken care of me my whole life. And it's like, now it's like, he doesn't have money. He's not someone who can be, take care of me. And it's like, that's scary. But I mean, my therapist is like, I'm so happy about that because you've always picked people who can financially take care of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I really think if you love someone and believe in them, relapse, as we know, for a lot of people, is a part of sobriety. There's no reason to think, I don't know this person, so there's no reason to think that he might not be one of the ones that this is his last relapse. And it probably happened for a reason. And if you can figure out that reason, and if you can set the appropriate boundaries, because at this point, honest to God, as much as I hated people from Al-Anon, they annoyed me so much. Once I started going, I realized it's like the PhD of life skills is.
I can handle double winners, kind of.
Yeah.
I still kind of feel like,
Some of them are a bit, they're a bit much, they're like church group people where they're just.
Yeah, they're a little buttoned up for me. And it's like, but I mean, I do need to have boundaries because he was like, I want to leave treatment and I want to come live with you and I'll do whatever you want. You can be the boss and I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You've been there 3 weeks. No.
It's great that you're still in therapy too. Like if you have a therapist, you got someone to check in with and all of that.
Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck. And then we'll definitely do another interview and you can tell us all how it worked out.
Yeah. So find me at amydresner.com. I'm on Amy Dresner, Instagram. That's where most of my stuff is. Read my book, My Fear Junkie. Definitely another book coming soon. And congratulations.
Follow her on social media so you will know when her next book comes out. Get the first one and then you'll understand why you need to wait for the second one. Yeah, it's really an amazing book. And I don't say that lightly. I've read more addiction memoirs than I can count. I did probably a couple hundred easily. I don't even know. And Amy's is one of my all-time favorites. So I'm so honored that you came into the show. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.